We're learning Tafresh Nun Aleph. This is probably from the few things that I don't do exactly like my father, Oliver Shalom, and we'll explain to you why. One of the things we discuss over here. Arbah Minim Sheyitlu Kol Echad Lulav Echad Shtei Arobas Shlosh Hadasim. So far, so good. Okay. B'makom Adchak Dalek Hadas Kasher Sagalei B'chad Deloy Kotum. Okay, we'll skip that. But this is the easy part. Now, mitzvah la'agdam b'kesher gomer. There's a mitzvah to bind them together in a kesher gomer. What is a kesher gomer? So I would like to share with you something which probably you'll freak out about if I told this to you. I can't remember where it was that I saw this, but most of us, when we put on our tefillin in the morning, so what do we do with the tefillin shel yad, the end of it? You just put it, and then you stick it in once. Is that ukshartim?
That's what we taught to do.
Wow. Okay. You understand the question?
You tell me put your hand or you put it in your arm. But it's not in your arm.
There is no kesher on your tefillin shel yad, on the wrapping side. Obviously, obviously on the other side there's a kesher, right? What?
You put it in your arm. Where you put it on your arm is where the kesher is, isn't it?
That's one side. But that's not the kesher. It should be tied onto your arm. There are. I'll share with you something which is fascinating. There are teimanim, if I'm not mistaken, it's the teimanim who have this minig. So really, when I say a weird minig, I mean to say I don't really understand what the pshat and what they do is. You'll see. Usually it's when people have a little tefillin that you'll see this by. It's not only teimanim that have it. They wrap it around an extra time, but never when we put on our tefillin, we switch directions. Whether you're Ashkenaz or Sfard, you pull tension and the other way, and that makes it tight, right? That's how we do it. They continue in the same direction, and they have an extra time around the box, and then they tie it on. And there was a big to-do about if that's called ukshartim. It's not tied on. It's not held down. Would you say that when you wrap your tefillin on the box, it's called ukshartim? You wouldn't say that, right? So why would you do that to your hands? Is it called ukshartim? Okay. Question. Don't worry about it. In 2 days, we're not wearing tefillin for a week. You have time to think about it. But
so you answer the same question.
What? No. No, a second. You could have something that's tied down and you can pull it out. The tefillin on your head has a kesher on it, and that's what's holding it in place. You just can pull, like you have a bundle tied, and you pull the stuff out from underneath. It still was tied, right? No, that's what you're doing with your tefillin shel rosh. Your tefillin shel yad, there's tension because of the excessive wrappings. But for the only thing if I recall correctly, I think I ever saw somebody said that you shouldn't talk until you put that in, and that's perhaps enough to be called a kesher, and that has to be explained why. But just to have it wrap and flopping around, perhaps, I didn't say that, just saying perhaps there's a issue with that. Isn't it great when you do things every single day and you're just like, oh, hey, where have we been all the time? All right, anyways, so we, as I was brought up, we have this koshikol. What is a koshikol? I have no idea. It's this thing that you put your dasim and arobas into it, and it's made out of lulav, so that's mibaminoy, and you slip your lulav, thank you. You slip your lulav into it, and then you, excuse me for using such crude terms, you take an azikon and you tighten it. Just that azikon happens to be made out of palm leaf, right? But that's basically what you do. You take this, okay? So this is questionable if this is what should be done. I That's what my father does. And I deviated from my father's minhag for a totally different reason. Nothing to do with the reason that we're going to learn over here. But my experience is putting your hadassim and rabbis into those tunnels is not a good idea, because you can put them in, and I've tried it, pulling them out, even going the other, the same direction. The chances of losing one are great. So at one time in my life, I got somebody to make for me bigger ones, and then it gets hard to hold it on to, I gave up. I gave up on it because of that issue. My father, I don't know how, he never problem him. He always worked very nice. They went in, and they stayed, and they were shalom afterwards. You could have cut the thing after Sukkos and look at them. Everything was fine and dandy. I don't know. I'm not such a lucky guy, so good for him, but it doesn't help me.
So you just put them in once.
What?
You just put them in once.
Yeah, no, but they on the way in they're fragile. They're not. I don't. When I say my complaint is nothing to do with halacha, it has to do with. It does. I don't get it. It doesn't work for me. If it works for you, fine. But that's not the problem we're going to discuss over here.
It's the Sephardim have a minhag. They tie the species together, not in one that's held as nice.
Let's see. There's all kinds of minhagim. There's all kinds of. Do you ever see a guy who has tefillin shel rosh, with like a big box in the back of nuts of like? There's all kinds of minhagim out there. All right, let's see. Now, umitzvah la'agdam bekesher gomor. The mitzvah is to bind them with a kesher gomor. Now you understand what I'm talking about. What is a kesher gomor? Dahainu, for those who haven't figured it out, shtei ksharim zeh al zeh mishum noi. That looks nice. V'yachto la'agdam min acher. You can really bind them with a different min. Doesn't make a difference. The inyan shemafsik elochosh. If some leaves fall off, you understand? Don't worry about it. It's not mafsik. Why? The min b'mino einochotzes. Since it's the same thing as the Daled Minim itself, it's not chotzes. Aval shaloi b'mino chotzes. If you have something else there, al ken yizoyer. And by the way, I don't think we'll get that far today. Those who have rings, we'll see the Mishnah. I don't think we'll get there. There's a great discussion. You should take them off before you shake lulav v'nesrik, and that means women too. What?
Women should take their rings off.
Don't tell them that I said so. Yeah. Well, if you shake lulav v'nesrik every day, if you have that habit, I don't know. Most of us. Probably 7 times a year is enough, but we'll see. Maybe perhaps we should really.
The rings we look at the ponds we leave on.
Yeah. Take a look in Siv Zion. I guess we can skip today because I don't know how much how we're going to get here. Let's see the Ramah. V'nagu lahachmir lahaser hatfilin v'hataba'os miyadam. The minig is like my minig is to wear tefillin on Chalamoid in the old country, right? You take them off. But in theory, it's a problem. Okay, so that's the custom. That's what should be done. Anyways, so here we say you have to make a real kesher. Let's see the Mishnah Berurah. Zion. After Kaimelon, the Ein Mechuyev La'agdam, even though there is no chiyuv to do igud, Al Kaponim Mitzvah Yesh B'zeh Mishum Zeh Keli Vamveyu. Now, I would just like to make a statement over here. Not that the Briskerov needs my, appreciation. Do you think anybody here would come up with this idea? What a great way to enhance the mitzvahs Daled Minim to have this thing with the lulav with the other two minim, and what? Yeah, but the problem is we don't put the esrog in. With the big guy, we'll have him out.
Put them together.
We could have done that with all of them without putting them together. Obviously, we didn't put them in. We wanted to all be embraced in one thing, right? You didn't answer my question. Would you have come up with this idea? Would this have been your design? So the only thing I can say is, like the Brisker says, that all halachas of Zekeli Vambeyu are halachas. It's not whatever I think will make the mitzvah nice works. I don't think that anybody in their wildest dreams would have come up with this one, right? So this is like a plug, so to speak, for that Brisker, which some people take great offense to, because people think that there's the subject is a silver esrog box. Is that Zekeli Vambeyu? What?
No. Better than none.
Why?
It's not as good as a gold one.
Okay, they don't sell those at Amazon. Why is it Zekeli Vambeyu?
Because it beautifies the...
I want to tell you something. I vehemently disagree with you, but on two totally different points. If somebody would tell me that a silver mezuzah box is Zekeli Vambeyu, I'm willing to have a discussion with him. Perhaps even if you told me that a silver matzah plate is Zekeli Vambeyu, perhaps I'm going down, and you'll see why in a minute. But to say that your silver esrog box is Zekeli Vambeyu, that's ridiculous. And I'll tell you why. We'll soon say maybe why it's not ridiculous. What does it have to do with the mitzvah?
There's a matzah plate of the...
Perhaps when you're saying magid, and you're doing the mitzvah of magid, and you're doing it on these matzahs, so perhaps, that's why I said I'm going in order. Your mezuzah case, that's what I said, still a mezuzah case, then your matzah plate, but a esrog box?
I mean, it doesn't have to do with the mitzvah of holding the esrog, which just brings it, you're bringing it in, you should have to schlep it in something, you schlep it in something pretty.
So it's a bekovidik thing to do. Does it enhance the mitzvah? It shows honor. I'm going to share this with you because this is a fascinating idea. What? Correct. That's correct. I
It
believe
also
it.
contribute to a person's simchon dechag.
That's fine. So, but that has nothing to do with, you could have yours, I can have mine. When someone says bimakaya mitzvahs Zekeli Vambeyu with a silver matzah thing, if you built your sukkah out of silver, that would be Zekeli Vambeyu, okay? But it's like that perhaps. But I think it would be either. According to Brisker, it's pre-prescribed. Brisker has a raya from certain things that are including Zekeli Vambeyu, even though they're not in the mitzvah, and he goes on to explain why is it to wrap a Sefer Torah in beautiful material. Why is that Zekeli Vambeyu? What's that do with your mitzvah? Because he's actually bothered by what discussion that we're having. But actually, the point that I just want to drive home is this idea of to be ma'agid them, and this is a mitzvah, and this is a noi. If I would be in Shimon's world, I'd say, yeah, we want to have everybody all together. I'd say that's a great idea, and it's a wonderful symbolism. But I wouldn't have said that it's a Zekeli Vambeyu. Right? Zekeli Vambeyu means that the mitzvah is done in a more beautified manner. Okay? But actually, this is a question. We'll just leave it as a question. I don't have a very good answer. Anyways, but how does it have to be done? It has to be done with a real kesher. Now, we do not make a real kesher. We make round and round and round. That's why I discussed the tefillin, right? So let's see the Mishnah Berurah. Bekesher Gomer. Velo ba'aniva. He's like not very sympathetic over here. Now I do have a question on this that I don't have an answer to. Aniva means a bow. A bow. In Hilchos Shabbos, we say that a person is not allowed to make an aniva unless he's planning to open it within 24 hours or a week's time, whatever. But if you're going to have it there for an extended period of time, we say you're not allowed to do it because of a dinei kosher. So perhaps in the olden times they bound their lulav together once. They weren't changing their hadassim and their aravas on a daily basis. They don't live in Muncie, right? So why is he so certain that an aniva is not called a kesher? I think the answer is because we hold the halacha l'maaseh aniva is not really a kesher. So even something which is really could even have halachic segments of its nature being kesher, it's not enough. De'ein zeh kesher shenaseh b'Shabbos v'Yom Tov. V'lo mikri eged.
Why does Shabbos have to define a kesher for lulav?
You know what? I'm willing to answer your question, but beforehand, I'll make a deal with you. So, what should define it? Well, no, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just asking you a question.
Well, you're talking kesher there's kesher shalosh al kayama. It's also called kesher, just shalosh al kayama.
No, it's not. That's exactly what kesher.
It's called kesher shalosh al kayama.
That means that it's not, doesn't make the grade.
But it is a kesher.
I got a mark on my test. It was just failed. But it is a mark.
It is a mark, yeah.
A kesher shalosh al kayama is not called a kesher on Shabbos midoraisa. And that's exactly what he said.
You're not chayiv on it.
That's right. No, it's what is called a real kesher. So if you'll find someplace else in the Torah where something's called a kesher and it's not, doesn't work with the same halachas as Hilchos Shabbos, then you have a question. Why did we learn from this one and not for that one? That's a respectable question. But just say, why does it have to be a kesher? So I can't answer that question because the question is above my head. Because I don't understand why it's that. I'm lost well beforehand. But if the Zekeli Vamveyu is that it has to have a kesher, so we have to have a precedent of what's called a kesher, and that we have from Shabbos.
Can we take a precedent from when you tie up the Sefer Torah? That's also
I'm going to speak your language. I'm a Sephardi. When you do what?
When you tie the Urios together, is that called a kesher?
No, it's called tefira. It's not a kesher. And you can make tefira with 3 tchivas without a kesher on it altogether. It doesn't need to have a kesher. Anyways, there's a kesher on Esther.
You brought up tefillin before, and you didn't say why it's not.
We had a whole discussion about tefillin. Yeah. Okay, but you have a worse problem, right? Because you have the kesher shel kayam. You undo it every day, right? That's only you do. You don't wear chalatzka tefillin.
Not sort of.
You undo the kesher every day. All right.
It's loosened, it's not. Okay.
Tov. All right. Anyways, let's leave that. This is, here we go. We made it into the book. Shemetzaded demasha noigim ha'olam shelo lasas kesher ela oisin min ale lulav kemin beis yad v'teichun halulav boy gam zeh b'chal kesher v'ayin shom. Somehow we're going to make this into a kesher, even though it's not. And he doesn't say with that thing that band that you put around it and you tighten it. Just the fact that the lulav is stuffed into that hole. All right. The lesson mishum b'taisif the kivan the ein choiva la'ogdoi v'hai l'chudei koi. Each one is its own thing. V'mishuch hatzitz leka after kesher mas ben yer lulav the chol in the oisay ein choitzis. I probably would be remiss if I didn't explain what does it mean kol noisay ein choitzis. So I will try to give a simple understanding. Something which is extra, doesn't have a reason to be there, is seen as a wedge between two things that are supposed to be together. If I have it there to beautify it, so then we see it, even though it's a separate item, but we see it as a part of that which you have, because it's not external to what's going on, it's part of it. And therefore, kol noisei eno chotzitz, and
why if it's eno mino is it chotzitz?
let's start the other way around. Why, if it's minoi, is it not chotzitz?
You just said because it's beautifying it.
No, that's not what I said. I never said that. I said if it's einoi minoi and it's lenoisoi, it's not chotzitz. It's something which is minoi, it's not chotzitz because we see it as part of it, even though it doesn't have halachic value. But since it's this kind of a thing is supposed to be here, so then it's not a chatzitza. At least in this situation. By tefillin, we say possibly not. If a person would have hair that was detached and sitting on his head, perhaps it would be a chatzitza. And why these two halachas are different needs to be explained. But if it's einoi minoi, so it should be chaytzitz. But if it's there lenoisai, so therefore we see it as it complementary, and therefore it's not chaytzitz. However, it doesn't mean that it's not there. And I'm going to explain what this means based on Avnei Nezer. The Avnei Nezer says that a person who has a shofar and he covers it with gold, he plates it with gold, so you're not allowed to blow because the gold is chaytzitz. So he asks, why is it chaytzitz? Why do you plate your shofar with gold? Because you want to beautify it. So why is it chaytzitz? He says, no, it's not chaytzitz. It doesn't say, that's not milchas mechatzitza. There's a din in shofar that you have to have, your sosayim have to touch the shofar.
So don't cover that part.
What?
So just don't cover the part.
Yeah. There's a question if it changes the sound or not, but theoretically that would be enough. Okay. Pirush Gilum Niklas Kedei Ahadus Min Ha'akav Aguda Aguda V'kol Shetzarech Lahaser Chut Misham Tezeh Achutu Shaloi B'minoi V'enu Lanoisa Avol Em Korach Badei Hadas Belulav Shari D'Lehavi Chatzitza because it's called Lanoisai. Fine. V'yesh Misha Kosev says the Rama. Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't finish the V'imloi Ogda Mibod Yom Oy Shehuter Egudoi. If one didn't bind it before Yantif, you're not allowed to do this with Kesher Gomer. You're allowed to do it with, and I'll make a Kesher. Ella oigdoi ba'aniva. But you do it with an aniva. V'yesh mishikoso v'lasas ha-kesher b'derech achar shekorim svivas shlosh mimim elu b'toich v'in roish ha-kerech l'toich ha-igol. Like basically what we do with our tefillin. We wrap it around a few times and then you stick it in. V'chei noagim. Now, if we were learning Be'iyun over here, I would ask the following question. Perhaps I'll ask the question anyways, but I'm not going to try to answer it because we're not learning Be'iyun. If you need a kesher for it to be Zekeri Vampeyu, and you can't make a kesher, go home. What's this semi-kesher? Kesher she'enu shel kayamas. What's this idea?
Why is a kesher regarded as beautiful?
I'm with you.
I understand it binds them together, but why is it beautiful?
1 second. It's a machlokes tanaim, but I don't even agree with you on part of what you said. I understand that having them a good together, I have to really stretch my brain to understand that too. To have them a good together, that is a beauty. Okay, but how? I wouldn't have ever understood that the packaging should make a difference. As you said, the packaging you understand, but what's in this package and that package?
No, that's not about kesher is beautiful.
Yeah, I'm saying, but in other words, you understand that a kesher, that's something that is beautiful. I will just tell you, if you speak to your wife, and she'll tell you why when you have a nice bow on a belt or something like that, it beautifies it. Maybe she, I don't know the Hilchos dresses, but they're probably something supposed to have a kesher, so supposed to have a bow. There's halachas in these things, I'm sure, which I have not taken that course. So I don't know.
In a gift box. If you wrap it up after it's wrapped, you put a piece of string around it.
Put a ribbon around it. Yeah.
Ribbon, and if you put the ribbon it looks okay. But if you put the ribbon into a pretty bow.
Now, I'm going to tell you something. If you really want to get particular, I didn't really want to get so involved, but when you're wrapping a present, you wrap it and you make a knot, a real knot. On top of that knot, which is strong and anchored, you make your bow on top of that. You don't use the bow, because then the bow doesn't look nice. You have to have it, right? What?
Absolutely.
But it's not the bow that's holding it together.
No, he's just saying that that's beautifying it. We see that.
So that's I understand. Avada, there could be things that the wrapping beautifies. And I'm not arguing on that. I'm just saying this idea of having it be stuck together should beautify it is beyond me altogether. If it would just say you have to pick them all up, and if Chazal would have said, and you should pick them up separately, not all together, so it shouldn't look like the mitzvahs are a masa on you, I would have been 100% okay with that too. I don't have any preconceived notions on how it's supposed to be. So let it be. Chazal said we should pick them up all together, and they said they wanted to be done with an aguda, and they gave halachas to how it should be done, that it should be done with a knot. Because in the Mishnah Berurah said that clearly. That's not me. No, where did he say before it? Well, it says the kesher gama b'le'ani u'dein ze kesher neser v'Shabbos. You need to have a kesher neser v'Shabbos, and if it's not that, that's not called. You have a kesher. All right. Then he says, "But l'maisa," he backs off of that, and he says, when you have no choice, you could do it with some kind of other way of having them come together. So I'll just tell you.
There's no problem with Yom Tov to make a kesher like permanent kesher, like on Shabbos you cannot do.
You're not allowed. I said you can't do it, so therefore you just tuck it in. You wrap it around and tuck it in on Yom Tov. What I do nowadays, I'm just telling you what I do, and I'll tell you why I do what I do. I actually adopted the custom of my father-in-law, and I don't use a koshikol. I just use the regular lulav branches, and when you look at my lulav, it'll look like that's all that there is. But underneath that, I take a very thin piece of lulav branch, and I make a real kesher. Nobody sees it, even though I'm filling you in on the secret. Nobody sees it.
But the kesher is just on the lulav, or it's on the...
All three.
On all three?
All three. A very thin piece, like two pipes worth. I don't call it exactly a lulav, 2 pipes worth. But I cover that up with the thicker thing, and it looks like I do like the regular minim, like everybody else who doesn't use a kosher.
So you're saying the kesher itself is not the noi, it's what's on top of it is the noi.
I didn't say anything.
I just said
that's what I did. Why do I do what I'm doing? Because me'ikar adin, it should be done with the kesher. And since that's not the custom is to have the band, so I have the band. That's all. And that works. You want to know, is the band mevatel the kesher? And the answer to that is no, and that's based on a piece from Rabbi Yashiv in Hilchos Sefer Torah. Whatever, Hilchos Sefer Torah. What?
Why wouldn't it be mevatel? Or why would it be mevatel?
Because you have something perhaps stronger holding it together. So which one is holding it together?
The real kesher.
How do you know?
It will by itself survive fine without the eggs.
Okay, so we'll do this scientifically. I tied the knot of the real kasher with tension of 5. And then I tied the band around with tension of 7. Which one is holding it together?
5.
If 5 is strong enough to hold it, then it's holding it. A 7 on top of it is semi-holding the kesher and the Arbah Minim.
No, the 5 is scrunched up and it doesn't cause any tension anymore on the.
Sure, it doesn't cause any tension, but it will.
So it's not. So it effectively is not holding it together, right? I could theoretically slip it out. Maybe I can't get in there to slip it out, but it's.
But it's strong enough to hold the things together full stop.
In theory,
Right.
but in practice.
Put something strong. That's if you tie the second band stronger. Right.
Then I just said you asked, so I thought about this issue too. But whatever you do, there's always an issue, right? Anyways,
So the kesher is not mishum noi.
the kasher is mishum noi.
So if you're hiding it, how is it noi?
No, you leave the outside one.
Who said that it has to be that you see it for it to be noi?
Sounds to me the definition of noi is that it's
Don't know. I think that the definition of noi is that it's bound together. I don't know that it's anybody that says that you should look to make a fancy knot. If you learn Hilchos Shabbos, so there's all kinds of knots from the sailors and knots from the all kinds of fancy knots. It doesn't say anywhere to make a fancy knot.
I think it's not annoy as in it looks beautiful.
I understand. So there is an aspect of noi that has to do with looking beautiful. To the point, he's so correct that the halacha is, according to some Rishonim, that the parshas of your tefillin do not have to be beautiful because nobody opens them up. Okay. Anyways, so we'll.
Can I ask you? What I use, I have a kesher cloth,
Yeah.
and then I have above that then above that I have one band going around all 3, and then in my lulav I have 1, 2, 3 tabaot. That's
The tabot is a different story. It has nothing to do with anything.
if I already have the kosher cloth, then why do I need that tabaot going around all 3? Or so maybe I don't need. Because the kosher cloth is like a.
so they don't flap around.
The koshikol there's no tension on the koshikol. The koshikol just slips in and out. That's like wearing pants without a belt.
But it holds it.
Excuse the
It
emotional.
brings it all together.
What?
So you're saying I need to have
What?
kosher cloth
I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. You asked me what is the advantage of this over that, so I answered your question.
What is the best thing for me to do?
The best thing for you to do, according to Mishnah Berurah, is to make a knot. I think that's what he says.
As well as
He brings down in Sifkat and Ches that the minig is to use a koshikol without even having a band on it. Then later on, he discusses having a band.
So is it best maybe not to use a kosher cloth?
The minig in Klal Yisrael is to use a koshikol.
Not,
Someone tells what?
not very.
Not by you.
Not very.
Wow. I mean, perhaps if you were Your Highness, then we could say that you are Klal Yisrael.
It's not only that, but there's some people who put 2 and 3, and there's some people who do it differently. So the special doesn't work if you do it differently.
By and large, when you come to shul on the first day of Yom Tov, will there be more kosher klach or
In this,
more
in
nak?
this shul, definitely.
Okay, fine.
Maybe I'm not having it clear in my mind exactly how the lav's lulav looks like when he's holding it, because
It looks like you see 5 bands, 3 on the lulav alone, and 2 on the where a kashkol would be, 2 over there. And if you look very, very, very carefully at my lulav, you will see that there is almost an invisible band on the bottom of the 3 rings that hold the hadassim and the rovas up to the lulav.
I thought one of the reasons for having the kosher coat is it makes it a lot. Don't it make it a lot easier to actually
No.
hold the Arbah Minim?
No.
It's actually harder.
No,
No.
no.
Well, pretty comfortable holding the Arbah Minim for a long time in his hand.
I tell you that I never really. So I have no problem holding the Arbah
It's in
Minim.
your hand.
I don't know. All right. Anyways,
What's the reason for the rings on the lulav?
the what?
The rings on the lulav.
It's Api Kabbalah. It's
Not
not.
to do with Kezekeli on
I don't recall that. It's a Kabbalah, and it's not a question how many it's supposed to be. The 3 altogether, or 5 altogether. There's different minhagim on it. The top ring, it's supposed to be. It's a fascinating thing. This is halacha and Shulchan Aruch, no less. I guess we could say halacha and Shulchan Aruch. In Hilchos Hoshana Rabbah, it says that you should remove the top ring because you want the lulav to be makaskes more for simcha. Now, that's first. The Aruch LaNer writes in Bikuri Yankiv that a person should make sure that the ring doesn't impinge on the ability of it to be makaskis during the year. No, there's during the week, during the Chag. So and not only that, there's some discuss if you sometimes have lulavim. You don't see them so much anymore. Yeah, the Kara lulavim, the brown, the ones that come, you have to crack them like a new book. You know what I'm talking about? They don't.
You're saying it's a heater not to have it, to have them loose.
There's an Indian, there's a lot of different things. If you want to get everything all together, there's no advantage in that on halacha. The advantage of that lulav, from a halacha point of view, is that you can assume that the top is beseder. For whatever reason, there are those who say that you could assume that. But no, and that being kosher outweighs all the other things. But if you're, if you want to live dangerously, that's a chasar. All right, let's go weiter. So Mishnah Berurah, did we do the Mishnah Berurah? Yesh Mishnah Kasov, Ayam Tov Koi, the Shulchan Aruch, Hevi Heta Shalaniva, V'Rama B'Shem Atur, Mevi Heta Dekricha. Okay. Ach, Ma Desiyam Rama B'Chei Noigim, Perish HaMagen Avrohom, Af B'Chol, that we make a krichas like we do, I guess. V'tzarachin da'af Mordechai denizga hete de kricha af b'chol avoloi boyfen zeh el mitchila kosher pam achas v'yachakach koirich. He says first you make one knot and then on top of the knot you make sivuvim u'mitoch kachu ki'ilu kosher shtei ksharim zeh al gav zeh. This is a fascinating idea in Hilchos Shabbos. Perhaps we're going to start learning Hilchos Shabbos Friday night. We'll maybe discuss this if I remember when we get to kosher. What would be if a person takes a string and he makes one knot, just one thing like that, and then he takes glue and he glues it down? Would that be called a kesher? Or if he has wire, when wire is it's pliable, but it's not, I don't know, there must be a word, somebody has a word for me. Anybody want to help me? But whatever. But you do it with a wire, and even without putting the second one on, it'll hold. So how intrinsic is the second knot there? No, it's the way that a knot works, and this is, I'll give you a tip. If you're going to buy shoelaces, there are 2 kinds of shoelaces to buy: round and flat. What's the difference between round and flat shoelaces? Supposedly the round ones look fancier. The round ones generally have a piece of material on the inside of them, and therefore you cannot really make them tight. They open all the time. Flat shoelaces squeeze together, and therefore it stays closed. So this is like everything. You have to decide beauty over functionality. This is like the side in life, right? That's the way it goes. Anyway, so
Just looking at your shoes.
I have flat ones. Okay. If you look at my shoes, you should already know what the shoelaces look like. Anyways, but that's so the bottom line over here is that the minig is to you just make the wand around. Avo b'loi kshir oloi aduf me'aniya. Ach, matzasi b'shem agrod, d'metame al zeh, al keinir, l'fim ha'lemur l'kav, d'minig l'asas, shlosha ksharim, kesher tachto, and masha ma'agid, shlosh t'binu yachad, yaseh b'kshirav mikoidim. First you should make the bottom one with the real kesher to have them all together. Okay. Chag Sameach.